which you actually thread it on your line through the middle there, so that it slides up and down. And what happens is that, I'm going to put a swivel on the end, but if you do happen to sort of get hooked up or snagged, then that feeder will always break free. The carp is not dragging it round. You imagine if you broke any line, hook length or whatever, that feeder would come off, so the fish doesn't then get snagged, and it's very important. So this is an inline, free running method feeder. I'm using a little Drennan stop, which the swivel actually goes onto. Just a little stop there. That's just to make everything a bit more easier to use. Barrel swivel. Now the main line is attached to this barrel swivel with I was going to say a 5-turn water knot. No, it's not a 5-turn water knot. It's a tucked half blood, but you give it 5 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 turns round the line. I've put it through the swivel. You put the line back through that loop there. Can you see I've done that? I've put it back through that loop. That leaves another big loop here, and that's where you tuck it. You then tuck it back through that other loop that you've left. Doesn't matter which way you go, whether you go forwards or backwards, but you just have to tuck that back. I know it's hard to see knots on cameras, isn't it? Always wet it, pull it down. Once you've pulled it down, really check it, get hold of it and really pull it, just to make sure, no, that's not slipping, that's not going anywhere. So that's, and then trim that off neatly. This actual stop will come down and clip over that swivel like that. It sort of actually fits and clips hard onto the swivel there. I'll trim that knot off. Pair of scissors, just whiz that off, no problem. With a pair of scissors, just cut it nice and neat there. Don't have to worry about cutting it too tight. Best to leave a little bit there actually. So that's the feeder free running on there. You can see it's just stopped there by that swivel. So there, that's how simple it is. It just stops, runs down onto that Drennan stop there with the swivel. And all you've got to do then is just tie your hook length onto there as long as you want. And I'm using, that last fish I was using about a 10-inch hook length. You can vary that. Sometimes the fish come really close to the, I've already tied a hook up. Sometimes the fish come really close to that. And this knot is exactly the same as the other one. It's a 5-turn water knot. I've said it again. A 5-turn tucked half blood. Just get it back there. That's the hook length. The span of my fingers is about 9 inches. That's how I usually gauge things. 9 or 10 inches. Just, we can do that again. 1, 2, 3, 5 turns. 5 turns. Put it through like you would a normal blood knot, but then you must finish it off by that little tag that comes out there. Tuck that through there. So it's there, through, wet, tuck, and then trim that piece off there. I suppose I better do that for you, get that exactly right. Just trim it off once again. You leave a little bit of line there. Don't tuck that too tight. But there it is, and it's so neat. Nice 10-inch hook length. The feeder itself free running, so that if the fish do happen to break off and snag up, they're never tagged. Such a simple method. Perfect cast, right in those rushes. I think I almost hit a carp when I cast out. I saw a carp come surging out of the rushes. But right on the edge where those are hanging over, I've actually cast in. Might have to wait a little bit now because, because I've been explaining the rig and chatting about that. just takes a bit of time. Method feeder is like any other way of fishing. You know, you have to keep feeding in the same spot with feed to make sure the fish are aware that there's feed in that particular area, and to draw them in and to keep them there. It's all about fishing, remember, it's all about feeding, whether it's method feed or whatever it is, getting the fish into the area by feeding them and casting into that same spot. So important. And really watch out for these line bites. The little flickers, don't worry about striking those. And when you get a bite from a carp, just lift into it. No violent striking. Usually they're hooked. The actual weight of the method feeder as the fish take the bait, the carp are normally hooked. Another little liner then. And so let the tip go round and just pick the rod up really nice and gently. Just almost just pull into the fish. That's all you need to do. But don't strike at all the little flickers. You tend to get more line bites because of the fact that you've got this big ball of ground bait right near your hook bait. So the fish are milling round that, knocking that, not always taking the bait straight away. It's not gone that time, doesn't go every time, but the important thing is to keep throwing the feeder in. Don't leave it in there for an hour. You know, every sort of 5 or 10 minutes you need to be going in and out, because each time you go in, well, that might be why I didn't get a bite. I'd lost my bait. I hadn't realised it, and that can happen as well. I mean, and if you left it out there for an hour without any bait on, you'd be right cheesed off, wouldn't you? So you need to keep a constant check on your bait, make sure there's no tangles. Method's great. It doesn't usually tangle up because it's so simple. I've got a fair bit of sweet corn in there to wrap around this ball of ground bait, so it's always a good idea to give the fish some food that is the same as on the hook. So we've got some good particles, some sweet corn particles, and mould that round that coil feeder. Just mould it round and then back out again. So each time you cast, you virtually, if you're casting every 5 or 6 minutes, you're putting a ball of ground bait in every 5 or 6 minutes. Keep the feed going there. There won't be carp there all the time, but what happens is, it's such a brilliant way of fishing, they can't resist it. In the end, you catch them. Just nicely in that little gap there, almost a little tiny gap there where some reeds have broken down. So I'm really tight to that far bank reed bed, and every time it's going into the same place. And all you do then is just rod down. Now I've actually got the rod positioned probably fairly well out into the lake. The bite is going to be good. As the feed is dropped, I don't want to, oh, a lovely line bite then. I don't want to come right back parallel with the bank, because you imagine what would happen. You would pull the feeder perhaps 2 metres away from where you're casting. So I've actually let the feeder drop and then just left it there. So you need to point your rod fairly well out into the lake. You still see the bite, no problem, but you're closer to strike and you can see everything still quite easily. There's just a slight angle between, I haven't cast directly to it, just a slight angle, slight enough angle so that I can pick up the line bites and the proper bite when it comes. And then just relax. You don't have to hold the rod, you know, just as long as it's resting on your knee or your leg. Remember, you don't have to strike at every bite. You'll get little flickers which are line bites, and as soon as you get the proper bite where the tip goes right round, then just pick the rod up and you're into the fish.